thank you for everyone coming to the Youth and Communities panel discussion. My name is Cody, and I'm going to be moderating this panel here. We've got some very distinguished youth leaders in the Edmonton and Alberta community, Ukrainian diaspora and Ukrainian nationals as well. So I'm very proud to be able here to moderate this event. A little bit about me, I'll be very brief. I'm a UCC National Youth Ambassador, started a new program, and I'll be here kind of representing the Ukrainian youth community across Canada. So first, I want to introduce Ivchenko. She has been president of the UNYF for 2 years. She does a lot of programming for youth and young Ukrainian Canadians in Edmonton and across Alberta. And I'll move it right on to her first presentation, which we already have up.
Презентація буде зроблена на англійській для тих, хто все-таки хоче бачити саме англійську інтродукцію нашої організації. У нас не так багато часу, але хотілося б просто сказати, що ми вже є відновлені майже 2 роки. Наша організація є однією з найстаріших організацій в Канаді взагалі. Нам цього року виповнилось 90 років, що є доволі великою такою нашою гордістю мати можливість піклуватися про українську культурну спадщину, робити щось для України вже понад 90 років по всій Канаді. Ми відновлені лише поки що 2 роки, але дивимося у світле майбутнє на десятиліття. Що ж, наша місія – це мати такий внесок великий не лише в культурну, політичну та в спадщину нашу. Ми створюємо багато проєктів, які би хотілося обговорювати, які би хотілося б вам розказувати, показувати, але у нас немає часу. Я дуже швиденько перейду, що ми робимо і як ми намагаємося створювати саме можливості для розвитку молоді тут, а потім перейду до проблем, на мою думку, з якими ми саме мали такі проблематичні під час 2 років із нашого відновлення. Тому чим ми займаємось взагалі? Ми маємо купу проєктів. Один із наших таких великих гордісних проєктів – це Camp Heart, що означає гартуватися, загартовуватись. Тут це більше як серденько. Ми маємо велику таку на меті виховання патріотичного, культурного пласту саме в молоді. В Heart залучені дітки від 13 до 16 років. Ми маємо велику нашу виставку «The War is Not Over». Вона буде, до речі, показувати 16 листопада в нашій домівці, також буде показуватися ще 23 листопада в Сіті Холл і потім ще 14 листопада в нашій домівці. Також ми маємо ми колаборуємо з багатьма організаціями та з Генеральним консульством та безпосередньо з UCC-Edmonton та UCC-APC. Ми маємо великі fundraisers для армії. Ми купуємо дрони, турнікети, евакуаційні авто, автомобілі, генератори, антени для підсилення зв'язку. Також у нас є найдобріший проєкт нашої організації – це «Твори добро», який має на меті, аби 120 діток на Святого Миколая отримало якісь подарунки. Минулого року ми мали колаборацію з Охмадитом. Цього року ми працюємо з дітками, які позбавлені батьківської опіки або не мають батьків, тому що прийшла Росія. Ми робимо соціальні івенти, такі як ватри, ковзанки та різні розпродажі, маємо культурні проекти, ми допомагаємо багатьом організаціям привозити фільми сюди, саме українського виробництва, які приходять в наших кінотеатрах і мати прем'єри. І також колаборуємося з лекторами, які є видатними для України. Ось, найголовніше наше завдання, як ми почали взагалі, це ми мали мітинги створювали. Так і відновилася організація під час саме створення мітингів в підтримку України. Що ж, Проблематику, яку ми бачимо, це funding, educational challenges and culture barriers. Чому саме ці три такі найбільші топи? Тому що насправді наше молоде покоління тут не дуже вміє ще працювати і не дуже навчено працювати, як правильно оформлювати якісь гранти. Дякую. Гранти. Тобто грантова система в Канаді, вона доволі складна, і з нею потрібно навчитись працювати. Це перша проблематика, з якою насамперед будуть мати ті, хто починають лише свою дорогу в ком'юнітіс. Тому для мене все-таки це одне із важливих питань підняття на цій конференції сьогодні, аби ми мали якісь intakes. Далі. Фінансова система, і дуже багато молоді зараз приїхало саме з України. Фінансова система Канади і України відрізняються дуже глобально і економічно це різні системи. Тому хотілося б, аби фінансова саме едукація була в молоді для того, аби мати саме цю проблематику вирішеною. А також потрібно мати менторів, які зможуть зробити, наприклад, едукацію у фінансовій сфері для цих, або для нас, або для всіх новостворених українських організацій. Educational challenges, я довго думала, як назвати насправді це все, але для мене це було як ми були як сліпі кошенята, коли відновили організацію, насправді, і ми не знали, як діяти. Як працює, наприклад, статутова система, як працює саме політична система, як працює система з плануванням і розширенням саме співпраці в організаціях. Ми працювали так, як ми відчували. Але насправді в самих канадських системах є систематика праці, систематика розробок, систематика політичних звернень, систематика організацій. Це один із тих важливих таких проблематичних, бо насправді молодь не сприймає завжди дуже серйозно. Це такий є великий проблематичний аспект. Ну, ви ще молоді, ви підростіть, а потім будемо щось робити. Насправді, з усім нашим азартом, з усім тим можливістю молоді можна було би створювати великі проекти. Культурні бар'єри. Це, мабуть, найбільше моє болюче питання, тому що культурні бар'єри для мене виникають під час кожної хвилі. Вони виникали між першою та другою, між другою та третьою. І ми, думаю, що завжди дивилися на це і думали, Боже, які ж вони трохи не могли порозумітись. Але зараз у нас та сама проблема починає наростати. Тому важливо знати, що використати саме можливість наших менторів зі старшої діаспори, з енергією молоді і таким чином поєднувати. Я маю закінчувати, бо на час. Я би хотіла сказати, що єдність – наша сила. Це є нашою такою мунівською штукою, де ми говоримо, що лише в об'єднанні в нас є право побороти. І найбільший такий приклад – це коли в 1919 році Західна і Східна Україна об'єдналися і створили, скажімо так, велике диво. Тому давайте єднатися і будемо разом. Ось. Тому дякую. Слава Україні. Я прийду.
Thank you. That's a very informative presentation. I'm excited to hear the questions afterwards as well. Next, we'll move on to Lukian Podilsky. He is a kin student and president of the Ukrainian Student Society at the University of Alberta, where he's committed to building a lively and supportive community of Ukrainian youth on campus. Having grown up immersed in the Ukrainian community, Lukian is also an active member of the Ukrainian Youth Association, SUM, and the Verkhovnya Dunai Ukrainian dancers. He's an admirer of Ukrainian culture and community, and you'll likely find him at any Ukrainian festival, concert, or zabava, sometimes with an accordion in his hands, usually late afterwards. All right, now I'll pass on to Lukian. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yes, my name is Lukian Podilsky, Lukian Podilsky. I'm the president of the Ukrainian Student Society. at the University of Alberta. I'm a fourth-year kinesiology student at the University of Alberta, and this is my third year on our executive. I initially joined as an executive assistant at the end of my first year, and that was really just to get involved with campus, Ukrainian community on campus. I decided to be the vice president the next year and was elected as the president the following year. So a little bit about our organization. Who are we? Established in 1954. We're a student group at the University of Alberta, and we're dedicated to promoting Ukrainian culture, language, and traditions among students at the University of Alberta. And we're one of many Ukrainian student organizations that are under the umbrella organization of the Ukrainian Canadian Students Union, which Chloe is here representing today. There are many throughout the country, and there's just a few on the West, and so it's nice to kind of be in that representation. We offer a place for about 100 members is what we currently have, Ukrainian students to connect with each other. And it's really just a place for friendship, building some community, getting together and doing fun stuff while also just remembering our heritage and culture. And then really recently, we've provided a sense of home for the Ukrainian-born students that have arrived to the U of A since the onset of the war. And proud to say that we've integrated them pretty well with our community. I'll touch a little more on this a little later. And yeah, since 2022, there's been consistently approximately about 30 members out of those 100 that are Ukrainian newcomers. Yeah, what do we do? So a lot of our stuff is organizing events, advocacy, and activities just to, like I said, bring the community together. And we do a lot of fun stuff. As you can see, we have some sports teams that have been quite successful recently. And we also represent the voices of Ukrainian students at both academic and community functions. We do have USS delegates regularly attend the SUSC annual congress, UCC-APC meetings, as well as the UCC Triennial Congress in 2022. And it's just a good way to voice our student perspectives and ideas to the greater Ukrainian community. Alongside that, we do a lot of fun events like Pito His Suppers, Physical workshops, movie screenings, physical sports teams, and social gatherings, and a bunch of other cultural and sort of exciting stuff. In the past year, we really focused on expanding these event capabilities, really since the influx of Ukrainian students, as well as kind of the revival after COVID. And then, more recently, because of the war, we've had a lot of events dedicated to raising awareness for the ongoing war. One of these is the Games Night fundraiser. This was a new idea that arose in 2022. We were really brainstorming ways to get the Ukrainian students involved at our campus. And so we were brainstorming ways to kind of do that in a fun way, and we decided on a Games Night. It was really successful the first year, and we did turn it into a fundraiser. And so we've actually had it for 2 years in a row now, and our third annual one is coming up later this month. And with it being a fundraiser, we've also raised a few $100s each of those events. And then we've had a vigil and rally to commemorate the war. And then also the Unissued Diplomas exhibit is something we've done. It's actually a worldwide project, kind of spearheaded by the SUSC organization. And it's essentially a display of unissued diplomas of Ukrainian students who were killed in the war and were never able to graduate. And it's a really, really powerful project that we've set up now 2 years in a row in Rutherford Library, which is the main library, and this gets lots of viewership and a lot of people reading that. It's really good for awareness. On to some of our successes. I would say that we've had a very successful past 2 years. Our main thing is how we've successfully integrated the Ukrainian newcomer students. And as well as them being our members, we've also really integrated them into our executive board. It's made up of about 15 people, and it's nearly a 50-50 split now between Ukrainian-born and Canadian-born students, which is really good for just diversifying our perspectives, really getting both sides and kind of agreeing on what we want to focus on and how we want to approach our events and where if we want to do fundraising, where that should go. As well, we successfully revitalized the club after COVID. I feel like that's kind of something everyone had to deal with, but I can definitely say that the membership did kind of skyrocket, and that's thanks to a lot of the exciting events we put on kind of right as school was coming back in person. And then just in general, I'll say last year was very successful for us. Our lovely moderator, Cody, was actually the president last year, while I was vice president, and we had events going 2-3 times a month. And what's good about that is a lot of the basis for the success of those events did continue on through this year. And so it's almost even easier this year to kind of get rolling on some of those. and keep that success going. Of course, all successes come with some challenges. Just a few things in general are a bit of disconnect between executive and club members. We do have a lot of club members, over 100 this year already, and I just feel like sometimes general members don't feel as connected to the club's internal workings, and similarly, executive members don't always know what the preferences and perspectives are of members, but we have taken some strategies to alleviate this, which I'll talk about right away. Attendance amongst members for speaker events and documentary screenings, so more so academic events, is typically sometimes low, and I just feel like it's really important to keep doing it, but it is a result of students' heavy workloads, like course loads, and it may not seem so like social and fun, but we do try to keep doing that, and we're working on ways to kind of increase that attendance. Of course, motivation and time management amongst academic workload is something that students always have to deal with. Luckily, we do have quite a motivated exec that if someone is busy or overloaded or stressed with something, we do almost always have someone that can kind of take that place and help out when needed. But nevertheless, it is a problem that sometimes leads to some missed deadlines or other issues. And lastly, the rapid turnover of exec members is something we deal with. Most people are on the executive when they're in their undergrad, which is usually 4 years, but people typically only stay on the executive for about 2 years. So there is lots of turnover. We had to experience this in the past year or two. And that just means lots of relearning, retraining, and unfortunately sometimes like the knowledge of the ins and outs of the clubs does kind of fade away. And that's just something that's, communication is really a way to kind of alleviate that. And lastly, just getting to some future plans and goals. We want to continue to establish more annual events that kind of create familiarity and routine. That help our members know that something's expected. For example, a really successful example of this is our pierogi barbecue, which we always do on campus. And if anyone's been involved with USS throughout campus over their undergrad degree, they would know that USS puts on a barbecue every year, 2 a year. And that's just something that everyone knows and everyone comes to. And so we're trying to do that with a few of our other events, such as the Games Night, which is now going into its 3rd year. It's more so getting more known. Our Zabava, which we had last year to celebrate our 70th anniversary actually. It was very successful. That's something we're looking at doing again this year. And similarly, we want it to kind of be an established thing. And then sports teams is something we really kind of excelled in the past year. And I feel like it's just a really good way to get kind of that activity and social atmosphere together. And I want that to be a regular thing. I did mention the issues with communicating between members and executive members. Therefore, we did actually establish a membership group chat just like in the past month. And I feel like this is a really good way to really connect the members with the non-members. And so far it's been successful, but we'll see how that plays out. And then lastly, we do want to just continue cooperation with our Ukrainian-born students, of course, as well as the Canadian Institute of Ukrainian Studies, which is on our campus. They help with a lot of academic events, and we're really grateful to have them. We want to continue that partnership, as well as the Cool Folklore Center, who is also present on our campus. In general, that's who we are, that's what we do. You can always contact us using the email at uss@ualberta.ca. Please follow our Instagram if you want. That's the main kind of way that we get ourselves out there. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's quiet room, so it should be okay. Thanks for that presentation, Lukian. Next, we'll move on to Mykhaylo Kozlovskyy. He's the president of the Ukrainian Youth Association of Canada, SUM, for the Edmonton branch. He's a committed leader who plays a key role in fostering Ukrainian culture, heritage, and youth development within the Ukrainian community. Mykhaylo focuses on building strong relationships, promoting cultural education, and empowering the next generation of Ukrainian Canadians. He's passionate about creating opportunities for youth engagement, community service, and cultural preservation, ensuring a vibrant and inclusive environment for all members.
Thank you, Cody. Hello, добрий день всім. My name is Mykhaylo Kozlovskyy, as you all right now. The font's a little bit off. So I'm the president of the Ukrainian Youth Association of Edmonton, and I could really go on and on about our history and a little bit about us, but I don't think I have the time for that, so I'll just briefly introduce us here. So a brief history, we were founded in 1925 by Mykhaylo by pretty much descendants of the First World War in Germany and Belgium. And our Canadian National Executive was actually established in 1948 after the Second World War by immigrants that were escaping the war in Europe. Our Edmonton branch was established a year later in 1949, which marks 75 years this year actually, and our national executive last year. And right now we're present in 25 different countries, and we also have 11 branches in Canada. 2 of them were actually added last year in Guelph and I forget the other city. But that's due to the recent influx of Ukrainians coming to Canada from running away from the war. And just a little bit of who we are. We do a little bit of everything. If I take a look at this room, I recognize a couple of our Sumivci here, like Taras Podilsky or Lukian, and a lot of them here are at the summit of Svitovy Congress, which is our sister organization of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress, Alberta Provincial Council. And you can see looking at these pictures that we as SUM foster a lot of future and a lot of current leaders that lead our Ukrainian communities, not just in Canada, but throughout the world. And that's really who we are. We raise you since you're 5 years old, we call them Sumenyatka, and we raise you into these serious players in the world spectrum, which lead the Ukrainian community in day-to-day operations. And our motto is, before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine was Нині сумівця, завтра бійця, which means today is Sumivets, tomorrow a fighter. But unfortunately, due to the full-scale invasion, the motto has changed, and it became Нині сумівця, нині бійця, which means that today is Sumivets, today a fighter. And that's represented by a lot of our members in Ukraine actually being on the front lines and fighting for Ukraine's freedom every single day. And a lot of our projects nowadays focus to supporting these fighters that we have on the front lines and helping them continue fighting this war against the aggressor. And what do we do? SUM serves as a vital hub for the Ukrainian diaspora, fostering personal growth, cultural identity, and leadership development, with 3 core pillars. The first one is culture, personal and leadership development, and community. I think SUM is built on these 3 core pillars. Then when I was making this presentation, I was looking at our historic documents, and I pulled this one very, very, I think, quote that makes our whole organization come to life. And it's never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only way that it ever has. And that's a quote by Margaret Mead, and it's included in a lot of our materials that we had for our 75th anniversary. And I think that's really important. It explains, like I explained, that since 5 years old, we make you a little Sumenyatko, and then we turn you into the leaders that we see now and in this room as well. And you could see them also walking around this building today. So first one is cultural activities. So we organize cultural gatherings, camps, cultural events that deepen members' connections to Ukrainian heritage, cultural and traditions. And that ranges from banduras to our schodine, Polanka, and our tabure. I may put a picture of everything so you guys can really visualize what that looks like. Next is personal and leadership development. So in SUM, we encourage members to cultivate skills, creativity, and strong ethical values. We see some of our members at Volodymyr, we see one of our members getting into med school, and we really want to celebrate our members and their successes just to make sure they remain in the community and they keep working with us and make our community just that much stronger. And we see here with the Prime Minister at Triannual Congress in, I think, 2022. On the top right, we have our Sumivci at the Olympic Games in, I believe, Vancouver or Calgary. And then beside the Volodymyr truck, I think we all know. The other one is community belonging. And for many, SUM is not just an organization, but it's actually a family that inspires, supports, and instills a strong sense of pride and unity among its members. And also, like I said, as well, many of these events don't look like SUM events because we're not on a road destroy. I think we all know what that looks like as well. But here, we're just a family that sticks together, and when we get together, we get things done. And that's really what I think SUM also stands for. Here's some more pictures to show that we're really out there, and even though we might not be wearing our nostri, we're still doing work and we're still getting things done. The current challenges. So just like other non-for-profit organizations around Canada, around the world, we have some membership engagement and retention issues. So most of our družinnikai, so being a youth organization, we're run by volunteers. And most of those are aged 16 to 30. Of course, we have some older folks, which we really appreciate for all their expertise. But during that age, people usually go to university, or they choose things that don't really interest them at that point. And that's the biggest issue. And I call those shifts in priorities. The other one is funding and resource limitations. So a large reduction in contributions from businesses and individuals has been observed by me being the president. And having studied non-governmental accounting, I can say that right now the cutting granting comes from an economic downturn. It's affecting all not-for-profit organizations, whoever I talk to, and the network I've grown. And we're gonna have to tackle that all together. It's been very hard to get grants lately, so I think, like Ina said, we have to all work together to help out each other and find those pathways where they still exist to coexist in the Ukrainian society. The last one, of course, we all know, Russian disinformation. And a great example of that is here on our right. Right beside our Domivka, we have a Shухevich statue. And that's been defaced, I think, 2 or 3, or if not more times at this point. And the Russian disinformation is creating misleading narratives about our history and our objectives, causing some reputational damage and also division within the community. Some people just don't want to be involved with the organization anymore because they say it's controversial. So we really have to fight with that. The future. We're still working on increasing our membership, and right now is a great opportunity with the wave of immigration, and it's been quite great actually. Right now, about 30 to 40% of our membership is actually newcomers, Ukrainian newcomer kids, which is great. The second point is collaborate with other Ukrainian organizations, just like Ina. Me and Ina have been quite working together. We've had some communal events together, which I think have been a good success, and we'll continue to look forward to that. And I think we can start working with other organizations as well. The third one is we continue adapting and innovating. In non-governmental accounting, we call this don't become a dinosaur. Because if you stay the same, eventually organizations become outdated and your members start to leave and everybody loses interest. So we have to keep evolving with the modern times. We have to change, and I think that will really grab the 16 to 30-year-olds back into our organization and keep them involved. The last one is emphasize on more leadership training for the youth in hopes of reducing membership retention issues. So this, whether it would be recognizing members' achievements, whether it would be sending them to more leadership training activities, or just having them more involved in the organization. I think that those are all important things we can really do to retain membership. And that's it for me. So if you want to reach or learn more about our organization, here are all of our contacts. This year we're actually next year we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of Zoom Global, which is a very big anniversary. So we have a big sled in Germany and Belgium. So, and lastly, I encourage you all to come to our Malanka. It is really a premier Malanka in Canada, as we own the domain malanka.ca. So, дякую, дякую.
Thank you for that. Next we have Andrei Kisil. He is the current head of the PLAST Ukrainian Youth Scouting Organization's branch in Edmonton, Alberta. He was elected to this position in the fall of 2023 when he was 23 years old, making him the youngest head of any organization in Canada's history. He's undertaken a considerable challenge to manage an increasingly complex organization with growing membership over the past year. He's been a member of PLAST since a child since 2008, and he has previously held the roles of volunteer for younger children, volunteer for older children, program director for older children, secretary, and camp director for 3 years in a row, which I think qualifies him quite a bit about youth issues in
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Cody, for that lovely introduction. My name is Andrei Kisil, Kisil. I'm going to try to make my presentation slightly different from Mykhaylo's, as I'm the other side of the same coin. I'm also a member, or I'm representative of PLAST, also Ukrainian Youth Association in Canada. So a little bit about what our organization does. What is PLAST? PLAST, we are a Ukrainian scouting organization that promotes comprehensive patriotic education and self-education of Ukrainian youth. We try to educate our members to be conscious, responsible, and citizens of both local, national, and the global community in society. We are a non-political and non-denominational organization that was founded in 1911 in Ukraine based on the international scouting movement founded in the United Kingdom several years prior. Our first official oath-taking was done a year later by some notable people like Dr. Alexander Kozlovskyy, Petro Franco, the son of Ivan Franco, and Ivan Shmola. And our organization, differing from Boy Scouts and Girl Guides here in Canada, is that membership extends to all ages. You do not have to be, your membership does not end when you are, say, 25 or 30. You can be a member for life. I don't see too many members here in our room at the moment, but our UCC National President, Alexander Hedge, and Executive Director, Mykhaylo, are both active members of PLAST, so that shows that you do not have to so to say, retire from the organization. And as such, we have several different levels, from the youngest Plashinyata in preschooling, Novatstvo, to in elementary school, Yunatstvo, junior high and high school, and so forth. Oops, sorry. So some principles of the PLAST method that we use include voluntary membership in our organization, education and learning through play and work, learning through self-governance in groups, knowledge of nature and life in it, and supporting the interests and abilities of children and their youth. So a little bit about PLAST in Canada. So a little bit about our organization here in Canada. PLAST first started here in Canada in 1948 when post-war wave of immigrants arrived here in Canada from Europe. The first group formed in Winnipeg of that year, but Edmonton started just a few months prior. At the current moment, we have 7 official branches in Canada, here in Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Montreal, St. Catharines, and our biggest one is in Toronto. We also have 6 new groups that have arose as a result of the large wave of immigration from Ukraine since 2022, places all over Canada, Vancouver, Lethbridge, Saskatoon, Moncton, and so forth. Our current membership, which is for adult paying members, is over 2,000, currently estimating about 1,500 children across Canada. Our organization here in Edmonton has a very long history. We celebrated our 75th anniversary last year. We purchased our own building in 1972, which was a major accomplishment because this was purchased out of the funds of memberships themselves. So a lot of our members had to take fairly large loans at that time to help support it. But we are now proud to be a very functional, flourishing organization. We have over 140 children currently registered and about 80 adult members. Our organization is governed by an elected executive board and has appointed Starshina or council that assists it. The head of the branch, myself at the moment, is the Stanishny. And as a Stanishny, my role, just to explain a bit more of, like, for example, what a scouting organization actually does behind the scenes. We formulate policy, manage finances, preside over meetings. We liaison with all members, guests, and other PLAST branches, our national executive, and member organizations or fellow organizations like UCC-APC, for example. Our main goal of our organization, however, is to support the youth. Our programming is done exclusively in Ukrainian language. It is a requirement to become an eligible member of PLAST. And although we do not turn away non-speakers, we do try to encourage them to either learn or practice or attempt, at least, as that is one of the core goals of our organization, is to preserve and maintain Ukrainian culture and language. So I'll talk a little bit about some problems and concerns facing our organization today, which I dropped into 3 different categories. One of them is involving cultivating and maintaining our volunteer base. Second, we're managing growing demand and capacity constraints. And third is our financial capacity and forecast for the future. So regarding volunteering, we do have a large and very healthy support of volunteers. However, these people are human just like the rest of us, and they do face, very tough times. They get burdened out. They're faced with lots of things in their own personal lives, work, job, family, kids, university. We have a lot of university students, and these people, they need support too. We rely on them to help plan programs for kids for a whole entire year, but sometimes we think, is there any support for them? It's a tiresome job. It's a volunteering job. As many of you know, volunteerism is not a paid profession. These are people who willingly dedicate their own time and sacrifice their free time to help plan this program. So what we're currently trying to do and achieve in quite a difficult manner is trying to train new members, find new volunteers from a base that hasn't really grown much over the last few years. To prepare these volunteers, they have to go through intense, vigorous training. We actually sent a total of 15 people to Toronto for in-person training over the last 2 months. And even though this does help alleviate some of our burden, and we're hoping this will ease some pressures for current members, we still do have to keep in mind that the mental health of our volunteers does actually matter. Another thing is managing our growing demand and capacity constraints. We do have a wait list, which is now unfortunately in its 3rd year. We are just unable to accept as many kids as we like. We know there's a lot of demand for a Ukrainian program after school, as we have a program on Saturdays. Just one problem is that we don't have enough volunteers, since there are legal safety hazards. You can't have 20 kids in a room with 1 adult. We try to maintain a ratio of 1:8, but also just the fact that our building's not big enough for 100 kids at a time. So unfortunately, some people end up waiting for 1, 2, and now unfortunately I think some are even in the 3rd year, especially for the youngest boys. And then one issue with that is that a lot of these people who are on these wait lists are also potential volunteers. So we have kind of a broken cycle of, we need more people to volunteer to accept more kids, but because we don't have the room to accept the kids, we can't take those volunteers in. So it becomes a kind of a hard question of, how do you expand your volunteer base and your membership in such a sustainable way that you can, maximize the number of people in the organization. And then at the moment, although we don't offer programs on other days of the week, that is something we're considering looking into, as we have now reached our building's legal fire code safety capacity. I also included some graphics on our slideshow showing the growth of kids in our organization. As you can see, we took quite a dip during COVID, and after the full-scale invasion, our numbers have more than doubled. And then a final thing, a bit more as a president, one of my major concerns is the financial capacity in our forecast for the future. As many of you know, we are dealing with fairly difficult economic conditions. Inflation has been a major issue for a lot of people over the last year. And although we've had such a huge and awesome growth in membership, our revenues have not kept up in the same manner. Like other members have said, it is difficult to compete for the same grants and sponsorships that other youth organizations do require, which means that there's less funding for everyone, as we all have equally valuable and worthy reasons for them. And then just providing the same quality program is difficult when these costs keep going up. To send 12 volunteers out of Toronto, I pay $10,000 in flights. But these are necessities that we have to spend money on, as we need more people. So we have to try to find alternative sources of income. We've done some forecasting that if we don't, by 2032, we will be in major trouble. So hopefully, in the next 8 years, we'll figure something out. So some plans and goals for the future of our organization. Just listed briefly here. Of course, I've mentioned training new staff, lightening the workload of our current staff, and bringing group sizes down to manageable levels so volunteers don't feel overburdened by their workload, and providing training, mental health support, and better assistance with program delivery to the current volunteers, creating growth strategy for sustainable growth to help break the cycle of being unable to accept people and find new volunteers at the same time, trying to find new sources of income and financing, and improving our budget for the long term. Of course, modernization, updating technology and software for more effective administration. We still do rely on quite old ways of doing things. It wasn't until the last 2 years that we actually did our accounting online and not on paper. So that was a major leap forward for our organization. And of course, supporting our winter and summer camps, including our national jamboree that we're having next year, and possibly looking at either renovating or relocating our building, since we can't accept any more people.
He adds that in. So a little overview of SUSC. As per our mandate, we serve as an umbrella organization that connects Ukrainian students across Canada. We represent the voices, views, and voices and views of Ukrainian Canadian students on a national level. We empower and unite Ukrainian Canadian students, and that our mission is to provide support for Ukrainian Canadian students throughout their post-secondary journey. We value, welcome, and promote Ukrainian Canadian student populations and their diversity, and anyone who self-identifies as Ukrainian. We strengthen awareness about Ukrainian Canadian issues among student populations and the larger community. We also try to influence federal, provincial, and local policymakers to continue to support Ukraine's independence and Ukrainian diaspora. And we promote Ukrainian language, culture, and study. We foster leadership skills, professional development within the Ukrainian community. Our vision is to provide a welcoming and safe environment to those that values its diverse members and strives to encourage critical and respectful dialogue. The Ukrainian Canadian student population is connected, informed, and engaged in Ukrainian and Ukrainian Canadian affairs. The students are empowered leaders and influencers on the Ukrainian diaspora and its organizations. This is a little bit about our history. We were established in 1953 in Winnipeg, Manitoba, with our office now residing in Toronto, Ontario. And this timeline just follows some of our initiatives, activisms, and periods when we went dormant and when we were reinstated. We currently have 14 volunteer positions with one paid part-time employee, who is our national coordinator, Anastasia Larchuk, who's living in Toronto near our office. These positions are dispersed to help with our initiatives such as SUS Congress, SUS Connect, the USO Project Fund, student and advocacy support. Since we are a registered non-for-profit organization, we utilize Canada's summer jobs to hire summer students. One of the hardest aspects of our board is the upkeep of our website. So this summer, one of our students helped us create a new website, which is beautiful and much easier to navigate. So I definitely recommend going to check it out. We are also working on an advocacy council to help when situations arise that are outside of our student scope. This is anything from politicians, lawyers, people that are working in post-secondary, so that when we have situations, we have people that are there to help. As students, we do our best, but sometimes things are out of our practice. So SUS is a partner organization of UCC. We have a representative which attends their board meetings about every 3 months, which is typically our president. Our national coordinator is also a part-time paid employee of UCC and SUS, and they help to integrate youth voices at UCC. They also provide us a lot of support and advice and opportunities. However, we're not under control of UCC. We're our own independent organization that people look to specifically for the Ukrainian Canadian student perspective. We have multiple annual initiatives that are being worked on by our board and that are available to our registered USOs or that can be seen by the community. We have SUS Congress, which is our 4-year annual conference, which is held in a different location each year. Most recently in Edmonton, Vancouver, and Toronto. We treat this as our AGM, where you choose a main topic to center the conference around. We hear from our USOs and listen to speakers ranging from students to working professionals, and we take a chance to explore the chosen city as well. We have SUS Connect, which is a platform that registered USOs can access with information about Ukrainian student alumni, whether students are looking for career opportunities, they're looking for alumni speakers, or they're looking for donors for their events. We also have the USO Project Fund, which is there to financially support our USOs for one event throughout the year. This year the grant is up to $500 for 12 of our USOs. We also have our advocacy that we do, which is one of our main topics. We advocate to create an environment of equal opportunity and non-discrimination for all individuals by speaking up. We also have a current focus on raising awareness about Russia's war on Ukraine and promoting Ukrainian contemporary culture, from social media action to events such as the Advocacy Day that we participated in a couple of weeks ago at Parliament Hill in Ottawa, where we spoke to MPs and ministers about Ukraine's needs and the needs of Ukrainians here in Canada. We actively support our USOs and fellow students as they encounter disinformation on campuses, visa processing issues, and other challenges. We've helped to create letters to universities and providing emotional support to those who are struggling with university policies. We also have our website, which has a dedicated page with updates, information, and donation opportunities for Ukraine. So we have our challenges and our ways of correcting them all kind of in one. So one of our current struggles is a need and a want for a full-time employee. Based on the initiatives that our donors and our USOs are looking to see done, that we have a need for someone with more time to dedicate to SUSC. This impacts our participation, projects, and our advocacy. We also at times face ageism. We're not taken seriously or undermined due to our age. We are impacted when working on advocacy outside of the Ukrainian community or not having our opinion taken seriously when discussing issues within the community. On the flip side, many people do look to us for a student voice and listen to us as we are the next generation. An example would be the UCC Advocacy Day held in Ottawa, where we had about 50 representatives attend. SUSC was welcomed along with the youth house ambassadors such as Cody. And we had our senior advisors there to help us, but they really wanted us to be the ones focusing and speaking to Parliament because they do want to hear what the next generation needs from our government. We also have a difference in desires between SUSC and our partner USOs. We are advocacy and policy based, and our goal is to advocate and keep Ukrainian student organizations alive. However, right now, USOs are looking more to have fun and social events. This has caused a lack of engagement and communication. We hope to continue to advocate. We hope to get USOs to engage more within our communities, though there is burnout surrounding advocacy and fundraising. We're starting to get more engagement from USOs as they're getting back on their feet from the pandemic and fundraising efforts. Our main concern is communication. There's a lack of communication, as I had mentioned, and this impacts our organizations everywhere. We're trying to coordinate students from all over the country on a volunteer basis. Communication is a struggle within the organization, which puts pressure on our national coordinator and our president. Exams come up and volunteers push their work to the side, but we just need a little bit more communication internally so that people aren't MIA and we know what's going on so that we can take on that extra workload if needed. And with our USOs, we send out updates about our projects and we want to help them with theirs, but typically we don't hear responses. We have about five universities right now that actively engage with us. So we've tried to use our knowledge this year, myself, Anastasia, and Katrina, who's our president, to have one-on-one meetings with the USO presidents, and we've reached about 12 of them right now, and we have 4 more on our radar. We're hoping that by talking with these 16 universities one-on-one, when we send out written communication, we'll hear more back. But we do have lots of goals once communication is stronger. We want to advocate more for Ukrainian students. We want to focus on funding for USOs. As I mentioned, we have our project fund, but we always have extra money left over, so we hope to reach more universities. We also would like to work on community connection between USOs, so the University of Calgary and the University of Alberta working together. We also, in this current climate, want to work on connecting Ukrainian students and Ukrainian Canadian students, helping to facilitate new USO creation, and then also more education and training. Like any organization, we face challenges that drive us to grow and improve each year, yet we are incredibly proud to represent over 20 Ukrainian clubs, and every accomplishment by our Ukrainian clubs is great, whether it's a Zabava with 100 attendees or a speaking seminar with 5. It contributes to preserving Ukrainian culture and advocating for its future, and events like today show our community's unwavering support for youth, giving us a platform to make our voices heard, and we're thankful for it, and I'm excited to hear your questions. Thank you.
I want to thank this panel for these really insightful comments and opinions and introducing us to their organizations. We have about 8 minutes here to do a quick Q&A. Might be able to get through 1 or 2 questions. Kind of the goal of this is to identify some key strategic points for the youth community to kind of engage in. So I'm going to open up to the floor if anyone has a question they'd like to pose over there.
I don't have much of a report, so I'll do my best. The question is for you. You were saying about the youth game nights that you do. It's a fundraiser. So can you explain that a bit more?
Yeah, so this was a project we decided to take on in fall 2022. Thanks to CUSE and the University of Alberta, there was a lot of Ukrainian students that came over, about 70 in that first year. And they, me on the exec, I was new to the exec at that time. I was an exec assistant, but I was part of the team that wanted to create a project to somehow really unite, make it really a social thing. And so we were brainstorming ways on how to do that. We were thinking, oh, some kind of zabava, some kind of something. We settled on a games night. And what that is, it's basically just collection. People bring board games, cards, we bring in pizza, and there's like a minimum entrance per on donation. And so we raised $523 that first year, and then last year we also raised about $400 as well. And the next one's coming up on November 29th. If anyone wants to come, it's open to anyone. But
And where is it at?
it's at the University of Alberta. It'll be in the sub-building.
And they don't have to be a university student?
You don't have to, but most of the body is naturally, but yeah, that's what that is.
But again, it could be the high school students pertain possibly to look at going to the university.
Absolutely, it's open to anyone, especially like that. That'd be actually really nice to see.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. The back over there.
Has there ever been a kind of a consideration of formalizing a unified body of youth groups, like maybe having a committee or a group that meets regularly, how you can share your resources, share your people? When one group says we need a volunteer, this type of volunteer, that type of volunteer, you know, you can reach out to each other and people can help out your, one another in those spheres. One of the resolutions is possibly is to show more more cooperation, which it sounds like there is, and that's growing, but a more formalized cooperation where you're actually able, positive volunteers, swimming volunteers, or a speaker on a certain topic. And this way, we can also break up that history of newcomers creating their own organizations or being separated from those that have been here and integrating more. Like I know I was at an evening that Muno and Sun did together just to get to know each other. And the second question, or the second part was, is there any way the younger groups, especially from the 16 to 35 group, can also encourage members or find ways of exposing their members to the bigger community? Because when they stop being students, where do they go? And have that kind of part of their programming.
If it's possible, I will speak for the UNF and UNYF. So the thing is, all this collaboration between organizations been blocked before. And me and Mykhaylo, we've been working on like introducing our organization to each other, the members. Also, we had the WATA, and I think it's been so successful. The thing is, it's more about how the members want to do this. We openly to every organization. We offering all the collaboration all the time, and the Zoom, it's been like the first one who all like been opened from the youth organization to us, and I think like it's just the starting off. For creating all this new organization from the newcomers, this is like a problem for us right now too. It's happening not because they want to be separated or they want to be only running their own organization, just because they're not accepted. This is like challenges. On Muna, like we do have like 50-50, like it's 50% of newcomers and 50% of the people who arrived 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And we do have the successful like engagement with all the ages. We do have the members who is 16 years old, and we do have the members who is like 30 plus. And I do think the problem is shifting. Like for example, in Muna, we do have UNF. So after UNYF, after the youth organization, you go into the Ukrainian National Federation or to OUG. But I don't know how it's working in other organizations, but it's really good intakes to do the more collaboration. Maybe we can have a coffee and after to discuss what we can do together.
Yeah, just really quickly here, I can say, so the way it works in Zoom is, as I displayed my slide of who we are, the way it works is eventually after that transition into the 30 plus years old, you would take positions on League of Ukrainian Canadians, Luke, or Жіноча Ліга, Luke W, or you go into UCC. And that's what I think the goal of what UCC should be doing more is actually trying to put an effort to unite all of our organizations together to work cooperatively. I don't think there's a need to create another body, because if you create a new body, that's another board, that's another organization, that's more people sitting on boards but not actually doing anything. The point is, we need people on the ground, we need people working and making these events happen, not people telling us what to do. I think we all know how to run organizations and how to all work together.
Can I just make a suggestion? I don't know if it's already been done. Social media is huge with the youth, of course, like TikTok and all the different platforms. So again, can the youth go, have access to these programs?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I think, Zoom, I think PLAST, Muno as well, we all have very good followings on social medias, as well as our national executives and our world executives. So I don't think social media is the issue. So.
I will add this, the problem is not a problem because we share all the projects with all the organization, like for us, for Muno. If this will be the movie screening or the BAWA or something, we all the time share this news to our followers, to our members, and between the organizations, it's not the big deal to visiting each other the events. We're doing this too much and we're more friendly than probably it can look. So.
Again, sorry, I know he's got a question too, but I'm the president of a Catholic Women's League, and that's where I'm going. So how can we get that information to our youth, so that they can be more engaged?
After all the discussion, I can share with you the website, the Instagram, and everything for our organization. So, and also I will share how to subscribe for our events. You can share how to subscribe to your events, and we can collaborate on those. We also can create the projects together. We all pay.
Yes, how do we work together?
Yes.
Sure.
Right, so we are wrapping up on time. I know there's other questions, but unfortunately we can't get to them because we have to move on to one right away. But I just want to thank everyone for coming to this discussion here to discuss the future of our community's future leadership. I really appreciate you coming here. If you have any questions, you can come up and talk to our really established and professionals right here. All right, so I want to thank you all.